Okay, today we have exercise 6, drawing circles in perspective, in 1-point and 2-point perspective. So, we will be looking how to draw a circle correctly, okay? Now today we will look at circle, the method of drawing, and next class we will continue applying this method to more and more difficult objects. Today it is just this circle we will draw, okay? So, I put you here something to look at, but I will redraw it again step by step. So, before we draw any circle, complete circle, part of a circle, we cannot just draw it straight away in perspective correctly. It always needs to start with a square. So we need to draw first the square in perspective, and then using certain steps to put the circle inside. Now, the circle lays perfectly inside the square. So if we have a square, this is not in perspective, it is just a normal square, looking at it face, at its face, like this. Okay, so this is a square. A circle lays perfectly inside, okay? So, the square, if we put the diagonals, diagonal from here, diagonal from here, we will know where is the center point. Now, because this is not in perspective, the center point is exactly in the middle. But once the square will be in perspective, the center will shift depending on the perspective point. Okay, once we have the center, from this center, we have to put another 2 lines. This line straight, crossing from the center, and this one crossing the center. Now, we have this point, this point, this point, and this point. These are the points that should touch the circle that we will draw. We will still draw it freehand, okay? So, the circle needs to touch these 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, when you draw the circle, each of these segments will be the same. That's because we are watching the circle parallel, straight face to face. But when we draw it in perspective, it will be different, okay? So, but these are the steps that need to be applied to drawing the circle. Okay, so this is here the method. Now, we will apply it to perspective and see how it will work. So, if we have 1-point perspective, so let's put here a vanishing point, 1-point perspective, and I want to draw a circle. Okay. How? In the square. I need to draw squares first, okay? So, this one take to the vanishing point, I'm drawing what? Square surfaces, okay? I will draw several and then we will continue. We are still estimating the other side, okay? But these surfaces need to be to look square surfaces, not to be too long, not to be too short. Let me draw more here. So for now, I made 3 square surfaces in a 1-point perspective. Now, how do we draw circles inside? Well, using the method that we just explained. We need to find the diagonals of the square. Diagonal from here, diagonal from here. Diagonals from here, and a diagonal from here. And here the same. Now you can draw one by one each one, or draw them all the way I do, together. Now this center will not be in the center of this square, because it's in perspective now, it's shifted, okay? So, now we will draw the other two lines to find the 4 points. This line needs to pass through the center, parallel to here. This line passes through the center, goes to the vanishing point. So, here we have the 4 points. Here, what will happen? This line will need to pass through the center and to go towards the vanishing point. So this needs to go to the vanishing point, and this line will be going down parallel to these lines, passing through the center. The 4 points are these. Here the same thing. This line will go through the center parallel to this. This line will pass through the center and go towards the vanishing point. So it depends if the square is laying down or standing up. That's the difference. Just once we have the 4 points. Now the circle that we will draw inside will have to smoothly pass through the 4 points. It needs to touch the 4 points. If it doesn't touch it, there is something wrong with the circle. Now, if you notice this circle, this is here the division, the midline that divides the circle into 2 parts. This part is smaller than this part, which is normal. Depending on the perspective point, one side will be always smaller than the other. So it will never be exactly in the middle, except if you just draw a square like this, not in perspective. But once it goes in perspective, there is also always smaller side and a bigger side. But the transition must be smooth. So the transition must be very smooth. You cannot have a circle that looks like this. You cannot have edges, corners. You cannot. It must always be a smooth transition. Even if the circle is very thin, okay? Like for example, if you have a very thin circle, still this cannot be a corner, okay? And a circle cannot look like this either, okay? It must always have a very smooth transition and without wiggling around and doing funny shapes, okay? So, following the 4 points will help you to draw this correct. Now here, again, so we have a circle that we need to draw that pass through the 4 points. Now notice how different this circle looks like than this. And it's much thinner and it's tilted. You see, if you don't draw it in the correct way, meaning drawing first the square in perspective and then drawing the circle, you will never be able to tell, is the circle standing? Is the circle tilted? This way, is it tilted? This way, is it tilted? This way, the tilt, you will never be able to get it right. But if around this there is a square drawn in perspective correctly, then you will be able to draw the circle with its correct tilt and correct opening. Okay? So this thing absolutely You must apply always. Now, let's see this circle here. How will this look like? Okay, so we follow the 4 points. Now, this square is bigger than this square. That means the circle will be bigger also. But look, this one is tilted this way. This circle is tilted that way. This one is not tilted. It's just going in that direction. So it depends where is the square in the perspective. The circle will be tilted differently and its opening will be different. But once you have the square, once you have the 4 points identified, the rest is just drawing the circle that touches the 4 points and transitions smoothly, okay? So there is nothing else for you to worry about. If it's correct, not correct, because you already have the square. Now, what can we do here? This is in 1 point perspective. What if we want to draw more squares? If I want to put here another square of this size, and here, and maybe here or here, maybe another one. So we learned that we can divide a certain unit into equal sizes, into equal spaces. So let me divide it. I can, of course, guess. I can just put a line here, and they gradually become smaller. Yes, but we want to make it a little more correct. So we have here the midline that goes to the vanishing point. Let's apply that. From this point through this point. So the next square of this size will be here. Great. If I want to put another square here, the same thing. We have this midline, the center of this line that goes to the vanishing point. And from this or this corner through this point, so it touches the line here, so here is the location of the next one. Okay, great. Now if we want to do the same, to draw another circle inside, what do we do? From this corner through this corner, from this corner to this one, where is the center? From here, straight line. This line is already drawn because it's a continuation, so we already have it towards the vanishing point. We just need to identify the 4 points, which are here, and draw the circle inside. Now this square is of the same size like this square, but in perspective, that's why it's smaller. And look, also the circle becomes smaller. So if we have another one here, another one, they will become more and more smaller. But look at the tilt, the way they are tilted. They are in the same direction, okay, because it's in the same line of perspective. Here, what will happen if we do the same thing? Diagonal from here, diagonal from here. So this is the center here. This line will pass through the center parallel. This line will go towards the vanishing point. Here are the 4 points. And the circle will be drawn. So this side will be shorter than this side, like it is here. But once you have the square, you don't even need to think about it. You just draw the circle. So it will be a smaller version of this, and so on. Okay, now this is 1 point perspective. Let's draw a few in 2 point perspective. If we have 2 point perspective, we have what? We need to draw the horizon line and the 2 points on the horizon. vanishing points, VP1 and VP2. Okay. Again, I will just draw square surfaces, okay? No three-dimensional objects for now. Two squares in perspective, in 2-point perspective. How do we deal with that? The same way. We need to find first the center point. Here is the center point. Notice it is not in the center. Okay? Now, from this line here, this line will need to go to that vanishing point, and this line passing through the center, going to this vanishing. It's going towards the vanishing point, and going towards the vanishing point. So these are the 4 points that we need. And now we draw the circle that touch the 4 points. The other one, the same way, diagonal from each corner to find the center. And then this line passing through the center going towards the vanishing point. This line passing through the center and going to the other vanishing point. Where are the 4 points? Here, 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 and here. And you draw the circle that touches the 4 points, and you know that it is correct in this particular point of perspective. Okay. Now, you should actually draw much more squares up here, experiment with a lot more. So 5, 6, 7, 8 squares, small ones, big ones, okay? So you need to experiment as much as possible. You can take the square here, divide to find the other location, then draw circles inside, or just draw them randomly in perspective, but you need to draw more. So this is in 2-point perspective. Now, the homework. You will have 3 sheets, okay? The first sheet, you will draw this. There is no perspective, just a square 10 by 10 centimeter, you will make it, okay?
Only one?
Only one, on a paper, like this. 10 by 10 square, and you will draw all the lines inside and the circle, okay? Then, the second sheet, one sheet, you will draw square surfaces with circles inside in 1-point perspective, like what we did. And the next sheet, square surfaces with circles inside in 2-point perspective. Okay, so 3 sheets. This is it for today.